Have you ever woken up and thought to yourself, my country should be bigger? No? Well, Trump has. As we know, Trump has trouble keeping his hands off of things that don't belong to him and that he doesn't have consent for. Besides other humans, this also stretches to political leaders of sovereign nations and territorial territories of other countries. Today, I specifically want to talk about that last one. Because why is a man that has everything in life you could ever wish for interested in a piece of barren wasteland near the Arctic that is as cold as the relationship he has with his third wife? Like everything in Trump's life, it has to do with the only two things he understands: money and power. Let's start with money. It's estimated that Greenland has around 38.4 million tons of rare earth mineral deposits. Rough estimations put the value of these deposits at $1.5 trillion. To put it into context, the US currently has around 2.3 million tons of rare earth mineral deposits, whereas China has 44 million tons. Those rare earth mineral deposits are incredibly important for building EV batteries, wind turbines, and electrical infrastructure. So very important in today's day and age. But wait, there's more. It's estimated that underneath the Arctic ice, which includes Greenland's offshore basins, there's 13% of the world's undiscovered oil and 30% of the world's undiscovered gas. And since we're doing such a fantastic job as a worldwide community to reduce the effects of climate change, those mineral deposits, together with the oil and the gas, are becoming more and more available because the ice is melting. And that adds another $1.7 trillion to the financial equation. However, it's important to note that Greenland doesn't currently produce any oil. One, because they haven't found any accessible oil yet, everything is still too far under the ice layer. And two, because commercial drilling was banned in 2021 because of environmental reasons. Secondly, there's power. When the overseas hero isn't busy spending taxpayer money in Mar-a-Lago, he's busy doing a dick measuring contest with the Russian and Chinese authoritarian leaders. That's because, besides having more than $3 trillion worth of resources, Greenland also holds a very strategic place in the world because it's located right next to the Greenland-Iceland-UK gap. And, like any unguarded gap, Trump is trying to take control of it. At the same time, China and Russia are of course playing their own games. China, as always, is trying to do it the economic way. They've invested around $90 billion in the Arctic region. However, only 200 million of that has actually gone to Greenland. That's because most of the Chinese projects have been paused because of political and environmental reasons. At the same time, they have quite some research ships in the area together with a couple of research stations. However, those are located in Norway, Iceland and Sweden, and none of them are actually located on Greenland. Also, they have no official military presence in or near Greenland. Russia, on the other hand, has no mining rights in the area and has shown zero interest to actually get them. For those purposes, they are more focused on their own Arctic region. Officially, they also have no military presence in the area, but we know that their submarines are becoming more and more active and are actively navigating the Greenland-Iceland-UK gap. Again, taking control of this gap would allow Trump to also actively be involved in making sure that Russian submarines can't get too close to the American mainland. So we've talked a lot about what Trump wants, what the Chinese want, what the Russians want, but what's often forgotten in this conversation is what the people of Greenland actually want. So let's have a look at that. As you may know, Greenland is currently part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Denmark provides Greenland with around $600 million annually, or roughly $12,500 per person. This covers around 60% of their budget for schools, hospitals, and welfare in the region. As expected, Trump's Art of the Deal team has said they could easily outbid that. They have suggested a $10 billion initial buyout, together with $5 to $10 billion yearly to this region. Now, money can buy you a lot in life, but not love. And the US's desire for Greenland is not mutual. In a 2025 poll, the people of Greenland were asked what they actually preferred, Denmark or the United States. In that particular case, 85% of them chose Denmark and 6% of them chose the United States. However, there's one thing that the people of Greenland want more than being part of Denmark, and that's actual independence. When given the option between independence and being part of Denmark, 84% of them chose independence, whereas 9% of them chose Denmark. However, it's important to note that 61% of people opposed independence if it actually meant a lower standard of living, and that's an actual risk for the people of Greenland, given that Denmark is currently financially supporting them so heavily. All of this leaves us with basically one question, and that is, could the US take Greenland by force? And the answer to that is yes, of course. To give you some context, 57,000 people currently live in Greenland, and those 57,000 people are defended by 200 to 300 troops from Denmark. At the same time, because the US and Denmark are unbelievably still allies, The US also has 600 troops stationed in the region. So, although Denmark's current rhetoric of shoot first, ask questions later sounds good on paper, in reality I don't think it actually means much. Also, what's interesting to note is that NATO, which both countries are still a part of, doesn't actually have an Article 5 for internal conflicts. Instead, it would likely become a Europe versus the United States thing, where both regions try to isolate each other economically and militarily speaking. It's also highly likely that will be the actual downfall of NATO.